And good morning, everyone. Hopefully everything's working right. I'm going to check the sound here real quick just to make sure that it's up and running. It looks like it is. Everything's pretty good, I guess. Today is the 20th of November, 2018. I'm Roy Potter. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Decided to relax a little bit this morning. I mean, it is Thanksgiving week, beginning of the holidays. The Christmas season. A lot of people, of course, don't like you to say that these days. But right up front here, let me just say welcome as you come in. The chat is open. This is going to be an open forum today. Pretty much, I've got a few things I'm going to cover, but pretty much an open forum. And there won't be a show on Thursday, okay, because it's Thanksgiving. And I would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. A lot of crazy things have been happening. All those folks that lost their homes and many lost their lives and were injured in California. Yes, I do believe that there are evil forces at work that are warring upon Americans. Northern California is kind of interesting. San Francisco is very liberal, but as you go further north, Santa Rosa on up, it's kind of a hodgepodge. But of course, as far as a mix of liberals and conservatives, but by and large, they're good, as far as I can tell, and I've been there a number of times. They're good, down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth type of people. And it doesn't surprise me that they're being attacked. It just doesn't. Sacramento, north of Sacramento there in Paradise, I've been through there many times. Beautiful location, and of course, just the devastation there is terrible. Again, I'll probably talk about it with some of your questions, but like many, I am suspicious of this entire thing. And what proof do I have? None, really. There have been some videos coming out showing supposed laser beams and things like that. I don't know about that. I do know that there is accelerant that's been sprayed in the atmosphere that settles down aluminum in particular. And we were out actually looking for some of that a few days ago. But they were spraying really bad here. I think it was... I'm not sure what day it was, but it started out. I showed you the one chemtrail going over. By an hour or so later, the sky was a checkerboard, and it became so that you couldn't see the sky anymore. All you saw was the haze, and it stayed like that, of course, for the rest of the day. No, those aren't contrails. I don't care what anybody says. Ice crystals don't act like that. And there's obviously stratospheric aerosol injection going on, as former CIA, I'll just say ex-CIA director John Brennan admitted to. And, of course, we've seen other evidences from different universities and congressional records, etc. So the spraying is bad, and I am certain it has something to do, not entirely, but something to do with the fires that are happening in California. The changing of the high and low pressure systems, things like that. It's just bad. I got a little amused with President Trump going over there, and he's absolutely right as far as cleaning up the brush and things. The environmentalists have been crazy on not cleaning up underneath where things have, deadfall and all of that. That is a problem in California, and even Jerry Brown, the governor there, finally admitted that, yeah, maybe they've been managing that wrong. But that's really not really the entire story here, I'm absolutely sure. But anyway, I'm sure we'll talk about some of that. So I won't spend a lot of time on it. I already talked about Swalwell, the fact that, Hillary is supposed to now testify under oath in a court case brought by Judicial Watch. All these things are going on, and I don't know. It seems like nobody in the administration, and I'm not pointing my fingers at Trump necessarily, but it seems like with all that's going on, those who are called to enforce our constitutional protections are the very ones who are attacking them, is the way it looks to me. And, of course, it has for a long time. I want to plug again One America News Network, OANN, out of San Diego. Jack Posobiec, I believe, as I said before, is, I believe, the bureau chief in D.C. If not, at least he reports from there a lot. So I'd like you to give a listen to OANN, One America News Network. Again, I think they need to replace Fox in most cases, with the exception of Hannity, Lou Dobbs, Judge Jeanine Pirro, and folks like that. Things there at Fox are getting outrageous. Yeah, I know about their situation with Acosta, and White House capitulated and brought Acosta back in. I don't know where the backbone is anymore. I really don't. I'm going to mention a couple of other things here before we get into letting you send questions my way, and that is that I'm probably not going to be doing these on a scheduled basis anymore. For a long time it was kind of impromptu. Even the live streams like this were impromptu, and then I settled down to primarily Tuesdays and Thursdays. Varied the time a little bit, 7 to 8, somewhere in there. But as I'm looking at things now, wow, and I've said this before, it just seems like all I do is repeat the same scenarios over and over again, but just in different conditions and in different environments. The war against us is always the same, and I don't know that it's good that I use this to go over that. I mean, if you're awake now, you should know these things and be able to discern them. And frankly, of course, it's a little disconcerting and disappointing that for example, how long have we been told that the FBI DOJ documents would be declassified? How long has Congress been asking for that? There are battle plans, and I understand that as far as how you're going to manage these types of things. But I just have to say, I think that's one reason why the election went the way it went, was because people just they're not getting the evidence they need, and they're not seeing the fruits on the ground of trying to clean this mess up. So what I'm going to say is that I think that sometimes. Maybe I talk too much. That's not a problem with my confidence. It's just that I think that there are a lot of other folks out there that could be listened to. And Lee Stranahan, for instance, is doing his program right now. And there are others. And they always provide you with good, solid information. Lee Stranahan does. I mean, there's another problem with, and I've mentioned OANN. There's another problem, though, where I really am seeing, and I've seen it for a long time. I've been accused of it, of course, by the others, but that in the alternative media, especially platforms like this, there is a tendency to think of clicks and monetary, financial compensation, whatever, more than trying to give decent information or analysis or that type of thing. And it's really become a bad thing in the alternative media. I appreciate having this platform to do this, but I look at the deception that's going on out there and the infighting and things like that, and I guess I'm contributing to that to some extent, the infighting at this point. I'm not going to name names, which they're more than willing to do, most of them. But I see some real problems, and it's not getting better. It's getting worse. We're slitting our own throat. And I've got to tell you, of course, as I've said for a long time, I think it's all deliberate. I think that it's actually planned that way. We were told back several months, actually 6 to 8 months ago, that the CIA was planning on running their own assets, agents, analysts, whomever they would convince to do this, to run for office on the Democratic Party. And I think we've seen that, and there's some really bad things coming out of that. So the evil side is hard at work, and we can't be foolish enough not to think that it's not happening in the alternative media, infiltration. I mean, but it's interesting who gets attacked as being the infiltrators. It's hardly ever the people that really are. It's those who have tried to maintain some semblance of balance and common sense, or who have been around a long time, that constantly get accused of it. And at this point in time, I just think it's out of control to the point where I don't think it can be fixed without total censorship. And who wants to see that? I don't. I'd rather there be lies out there and people be able to learn from their discernment be able to weigh things. But the end result is censorship and stopping our free speech. And I'm not calling for any censorship at all from these people who are out there doing these really nasty, evil things to each other. But by the same token, I realize that that's where it's going to go. So I just want to give you a heads up. I don't know how much longer. As I said many times, I'm going to play this game. I don't know how much longer it's going to be. So in that regard, who do you trust? Whom do you trust? Well, you're going to have to use, first of all, you're going to have to trust your own integrity and honesty. If you're honest with yourself, if you have integrity, you'll figure it out. Use your discernment. If you're not, then it's not going to do you any good anyway for me to tell you that. And I'm not accusing any of my people that follow me of not having integrity, but there are those out there who obviously don't. So all I can say is that we're on our own, ladies and gentlemen. As I've said several times, I've used an old 1800s euphemism. Every tub has to stand on its own bottom at this point, and you might have to be all alone. It's really looking like it's going that way, especially when we don't see the criminals being charged and collared. Yet they're still going after. Look what they've done to Congressman Steve Stockman in Texas. I don't know the whole detail in the case, but when I compare what he's done to what Hillary's done, for instance, or Maxine Waters, or Nancy Pelosi, or Dianne Feinstein, or Schumer, or any number of other people, it's obvious that the war is still going on again. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be held responsible if he did something wrong. I'm just not certain that that's what's happened here. So there's some real problems. So at any rate, trust your own integrity. If you have it, you'll know it. Of course, the evil side thinks that their integrity is the good side, but I think you know what I'm saying. In that regard, I'm going to cautiously advise you to go and consider following a couple of other people. Any command, any officer, military officer from 06 colonel and above, I'm very suspicious of, as I've said for a long time. General Mattis, Secretary of Defense Mattis, he was fired by Obama, but from Central Command. He wasn't really purged out of the military. That's really not what happened there. Still, there was some adverse action taken against him for him speaking out. And I'm one to understand speaking out. As I've said in a few of my OERs, they would say this officer can be dependent upon to speak his mind. And depending upon who's reading that can be a good thing or a bad thing. But what I'm saying is that I'm leery of most military officers that are now in the mainstream and also in the alternative media. I'm really not sure how to take these. But using your own integrity, your own discernment, you might consider following Colonel Rob Maness. Colonel, full Colonel, C-O-L, Colonel Rob, R-O-B, Maness, spelled capital M-A-N-E-S-S. I'm a little disturbed by a few things that I'm seeing there, but it might be worth a look to kind of fill into where I'm not giving out information as much anymore. The other one that, of course, I still have a great amount of respect for. He never did make it to 06, and there's a reason why, because he spoke out as well, and that's Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer. Now, he doesn't have a YouTube channel per se, but he is on Twitter, and you can follow him in the news by Googling him or however else you're using those search engines. If you want military takes on things, for the time being, I'm going to say go to those two guys. I'm a little cautious on Colonel Maness for a number of reasons. He suggested he has a show called the Rob Maness Show, and apparently he gave accolades to General Vallely, who I think would be a very bad person to give any credit to for a number of reasons. So when I see stuff like that, I know there's this camaraderie, this old boy network, even in the military. But like I say, anybody colonel and above, you got to be careful of, full colonel and above. But at any rate, check him out and see what he has to say. There aren't many military people speaking up right now. You notice this Admiral McRaven, who I warned about 4 months ago, about him taking on the side of the Democrats and leftist Marxists. spoke out again, and then Trump tried to put him in his place, and now people are coming to McRaven's defense about he masterminded the Osama bin Laden takedown, which we all know is fake anyway. So what does that tell you about this guy? It just never ends. And especially when you read what John Brennan said about him. I don't think I have that on my phone. Let me just take a look real quick here. John Brennan had multiple praises for this guy. That alone should tell you there's a problem, right? I mean, that's obvious. Okay, let me see here if I can find it. No, I don't have the thing on Brennan. Okay, I will give you a quote, however, from Colonel Manus. This is where I kind of looked at him and I thought, this might be good. This is off Twitter. Let me show you this if you can see it. I don't know if you can there. Okay, all right, that's Colonel Manus there. And he says, liberty is the enemy of government power. The idea of America is to protect, not diminish liberty. We have much work to do to right our ship in that regard. I like that. But then again, I said there were some other things. But for now, I think that would be a good person for you to follow if you can. You all should know something about Bill Browder. Lee Stranahan has unveiled all the things that Bill Browder has been involved with. Bill Browder is a very bad man in my estimation for a lot of reasons. Evil, actually, is more like it. He tweeted something out that I think kind of very well proves the point. I'm just going to read this real quick. He says, thank you, Meghan McCain. Meghan McCain, of course, is John McCain's daughter. All right. Thank you, Meghan McCain, for sharing the story of Sergei Magnitsky and your father on The View today. So, in other words, you hear what he's saying there? John McCain and Magnitsky and Browder, you get that connection? You've taken the baton from your father in the fight for justice, and I'm proud to be fighting for justice with you. Isn't it disturbing how these people use these terms and there's nothing just about them? It's very troubling. It's very, very troubling. Okay, so I don't have John Brennan's statement, but he was saying that Admiral McRaven is this great, wonderful person, and obviously he's a retired admiral. McRaven is. He's still subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice in theory, and yet he's doing what he's doing. People will say, well, he's doing this because he has a right to be involved in the political process. That's true. He does. But he doesn't have the right to, being in a situation that he's in, to be attacking President Trump the way he is. So I'll just let that go for what it is. Who else can you trust? Well, despite the fact that I'm very disturbed that Trump has not moved forward on the declassifications, we're bouncing around Hillary Clinton and all these other bad people, and the Democrats now have Adam Schiff has control of the House Intelligence Committee. Oh my gosh. Well, not quite yet, but he will. These types of things, everybody's saying, well, they can do a lot of work between now and the first. People like Jim Jordan and those guys, Nunes, etc. No, they can't. No, I don't believe that unless law enforcement action was taken, or is taken rather, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. So again, I'm not real encouraged by what I'm seeing here. We've got the new AG. Assistant AG who looks real promising. He's getting a lot of flack, of course, already. But then again, and I realize not everything is going to be seen on the surface, but basically what I'm doing is I'm backing off until I see some arrests, until I see these different documents declassified. I'm tired of repeating myself and telling people that they've got to be cautious about what's happening in the government. I just don't see it bearing any fruit anymore. So, like I said, I'm not going to be on a regular basis from now on. I'm certainly not going to be on Thursday because that's Thanksgiving. Okay, let's see what else. I think that's about it. Let's see, we've been going for about 20 minutes. Yeah, let's go to chat. Plus, I have another little thing on here. Remember, I told you I like doing these little breaks now. And considering all the snow and the cold that's going on in the Northeast and much of the rest of the country, I have a break video today. It's about 5 minutes long on the Bahamas. I went there, and I think it was 2000 or somewhere in there with my wife at the time, Carol. And you know, it might be interesting to you if you haven't been there. So it's not really extensive. I don't show you the mango or the I forget what they call them, in the swamp there. There are these trees that grow in the swamp, and we went on a kayak. I didn't take a camera on that because I didn't want to get it wet. But, yeah, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. Thank you, Tony O-Face Pro. That's another one I could add. You're right. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West is another one that you can trust, and you can follow him. But you notice he's not a full bird, right? Yes, and I'm sorry I left him out. I have a lot of respect for Colonel West, an immense amount of respect. So yes, that's great. People are asking about hot musket. I'm very suspicious about it. I'm not sure that what you're hearing on the alternative media is correct on that. Do I have a whole lot of information? No, but I know enough about the situation that I really question what's happening there. Okay, I'll just say that. Frankly, I'd look more towards the Jade Helm aspects of things, actually. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way back up to the top of the chat here, and we'll go down. And let's see what we got here. Oh, Douglas, good morning. Yeah, I appreciate your sending me things on Twitter. Understand, like I said, I've really backed off of doing much there. I posted, the mountain scene there last week, and DMs I check, but I'm again, there's some things going on there that I hope you forgive me for not getting right back to you. Just know that I appreciate it when you send information, okay? So good morning, everybody. And good morning, everybody that's saying that to me here. I appreciate it. Let's go on down the list. Light Commander, I heard you were in trouble, Roy. Stepped on a lot of toes. There are people out there who will say just about anything to get attention, and I'm not certain what that is. I'm not really in any trouble that I know of, other than people saying stuff, which is pretty common. They say things about a lot of folks, for their own attention, for their whatever, jealousy, political views, and trying to defame you, like the IC or whatever, those types of things. Dennis Love, hey, Donald Trump talked to you on your last video. You might want to check your comments. I doubt that it was really Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was going to get a hold of me, that would be really questionable. But the other thing is, I don't think he would answer on the comments there. I'm certain there would be another method for him to do that, and frankly, I don't know what purpose that would serve. I already talked about Operation Hot Musket, just kind of touching base that it's not real. I'm not convinced it's what they're telling you. I'm not even sure it's for real, okay? Let me tell you what happened during Jade Helm, so that you know. Jade Helm was a geospatial intelligence gathering operation to test if their geospatial intelligence was correct with what they found on the ground. They were checking on people, doing surveillance, things like that, to test their geospatial intelligence to see if it was correct. You understand what I'm saying there? They're double checking it, okay? There were people who took advantage of that and made videos of big shootouts between soldiers and militia. And do you remember any of those? Did you see any of those? This one guy made a big deal about it, like he was hiding in the brush, and he's telling everybody that, they're having a firefight with the military, and, they're trying to take over the country with martial law, and all this crazy stuff was going on. I'm sorry, but a lot of the people pushing Hot Musket are those same types of folks, so I'm not real convinced that they've really got anything going there, okay? Casper, hey, Marilyn Mattoon, yeah, I'll bet you're really freezing today, aren't you? Yeah, this is the time of year where things get kind of nasty up there. Mark White from Australia. Hello, hello. That's pretty impressive, actually. Tim Wright, have you ever served at Fort Ord? Absolutely. I sure was. I served with the 54th Military Police Company there and the 571st Military Police Company, which, by the way, is a strategic Army Force company. It had to be at Redcon 1 at all times. And because I reported that it was not at Redcon 1 for reasons I don't want to get into today, the PC, the political correctness, started in the military, the social engineering stuff. And because of certain circumstances that were in my company, I did not put it at a Redcon 1, Readiness Condition 1, and I was ordered to do it despite the evidence to the contrary. Very bad things going on in the military back then and still are, okay? Especially now. It's gotten even worse. Auburn, California. Laura, I've been there many, many times. It's one of the places I enjoy going to. I like the town there. There's a pizza parlor. Well, there are a couple of them, I guess, but there's one that's been there for quite a while, and I go to when I'm there. It's really a lot of fun. Yeah, this fire in paradise is questionable. It's not just questionable. We've got to stop thinking that it's just a natural burning process or whatever. There have been witnesses seeing some odd things going on there, and just the nature of all of those fires, I do think it's a method of warfare. I honestly do. Yeah, the Chinese own much of California. Dianne Feinstein, the Democratic Party. Yeah, Miguel, that's right. Chemtrailing in Tampa for a week. Directed energy weapons. Very possible. I've seen some of those videos. It certainly could be. But I think the accelerant is more the answer to that, although getting the houses more than the trees. Obviously some really odd things about that. Bill Rotello is asking about, he's been at Operation Hot Musket. It has to do with mustering people into the military, calling them in from off-duty status or leave or whatever, getting ready for some type of an emergency operation, possibly on the southern border. That's what it's about, but there's some aspects of it I really question the legitimacy of people that are pushing that. Rose of Sharon Homestead, yeah, sustainable farmer chemtrails are real, that's true. Yeah, Sally Ann Deegan, yeah, the whole world is out of control. Yeah, what are we going to do about Judge blocking Trump at the border? We are being invaded. The judiciary is out of control. Okay, that's why Trump is trying to replace it with good judges that'll support the Constitution. But I don't know how Trump should handle that. I think he should declare, well, he has declared a national emergency. He ought to go arrest the judge as far as I'm concerned. That's how I feel about it. But they won't do that. Yeah, there's a big problem going on in Haiti right now because the people are sick and tired of being taken advantage of there. Yeah, especially by Hillary Clinton. All right. Let's see what else we got here. I'm going down the list. Good morning, Northern Georgia. Jack Posobiec is naval intelligence. Yeah, it was really odd. He says they took his security clearance from him because he supported Trump. Wow, I'm not sure how that worked out. Maybe because he was reserved and he wasn't there all the time. I'm not sure what happened there. That seemed a little odd to me, but that's apparently what happened. Yeah, Fox is controlled. That's why I'm telling you to start paying attention to One American News Network. I think it'll be better. Yeah, I think Bokassa should be banned forever too, Miguel. He's no journalist. He's nothing more than a troublemaker. He has no couth. He has no grace. He has no elegance to him at all. And I'm not saying you have to be elegant, but he's bottom feeder, bottom dweller. I don't know that the military has pulled away from the border. I don't believe so, but there are definitely areas that they're not covering very well. Some of the stuff that's going on in Tijuana is kind of distracting us from what's happening, like 25 miles to the east, where people are coming across. So there's, it's too little, too late in my estimation. Rose of Sharon Homestead. I understand what the no-hide laws are. No, they're not real. That's rabbinic That's rabbinic explanation that's outside of the realm of Torah. But I can see where you're saying that it could be used in place of martial law. I understand what you're saying there. But yeah, I don't give any credence to the Noahide commandments or covenants at all. Noahide laws. I give absolutely zero to them. Yeah, that's right. Hazeman 76 with the USA so divided right now. Can you imagine if there was a financial collapse? Yes, that's one of my concerns actually, because it would be more like the Balkans. It would be more like Yugoslavia. It's not going to be like 1861. Yeah, Bob Rayburn. I'll say it again. Yeah, pray and stay out of the way. Absolutely, Bob. You're absolutely right. It's really all you can do. Yeah, Tony O. Face Pro. Yeah, if no declassification or arrest, then we have been played, or at least we've been given a false hope. That's why I say, I'm getting really tired of repeating myself. And even when the administration says that certain things are going to happen, and then they never do. I don't even have to listen to the LARPs. But I'll certainly, look at Trump's tweets before I look at a LARP. That's for sure. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see. That's really all we can do. We really can't do anything else. But you got to be prepared. Either way or the other, you got to be prepared. Oh, that's a good question. Sixist Design. Simple questions. Why have you not removed your pro-Q videos, and why the connection with Monograph? Well, because I'm not trying to hide that I thought Q had some, I wouldn't say legitimacy, some interest at first. I could see, as I explained even back then, in the old days, when you wanted to send a message to an intelligence operative in the field, you might use a classified ad in a newspaper or something like that. So the Q thing was a very possibility, okay? It was possible. And I want people to be aware of the claims now. I want them to be aware of what claims Q made then, because most of them didn't come true, but they're saying the same thing over again now because some things might happen, so they're repeating the claims they made a year ago that were supposed to be fulfilled within a week or two or a month or whatever that never were, okay? So there's no sense in me taking those down. I want people to know what it was about and that I was there from the beginning so I can talk about it with some intelligence because I was there. I saw what happened. So, and I'm not going to try to hide it, no, but I did come out against it. I was kind of questioning things starting around this time last year, around Thanksgiving, but then as I've often said, by the DEFCON 1 debacle on the 7th of January, I knew it was all baloney. Your second question, why the connection to Monograph? Why not? See, if you're worried about Monograph, you're probably listening to people that are defaming decent folks on the internet merely because, well, he's an entertainer. If you're going to attack Monograph for some of the films that he's done and things like that, then you ought to be against Stanley Kubrick for doing Eyes Wide Shut. So the connection with Monograph is I have a lot of respect for him. He has been right on the money almost all the time. Now he does believe that he has the ability to do remote viewing. I don't poo-poo that out of hand because I know for a fact I know one of the Army officers that was in charge of the program at Fort Meade, Maryland for remote viewing. It was a military program, okay? So I know it's legitimate. How effective it is, I don't know, but it's a real program. It absolutely it is, okay. Devin Tarrington, the accusers are the deep state plants. Yeah, probably so. Harley Enfield, hello from Vietnam. Hello, wow. Now, that's a nice place to live, actually, I've heard. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play this. I'm going to stop this right here. Hopefully I don't lose my spot. I'm going to go ahead and play this little thing on the Bahamas for a little break for everybody. Like I say, for the folks that are in cold weather, this might be a little reprieve, sort of. It's about 5 minutes long. I hope you enjoy it. You'll see my wife Carol again. She's kind of your tour guide. As I said, she died in 2008 from ovarian cancer. So anyway, it's kind of nice to see her, and you can kind of get a feel for what she was like and why I liked her so much. Okay. All right, here we go.
70s and early 80s, late 60s even, was the crown jewel of the island resort here of Freeport. In fact, it was because of the Xanadu that they built the casino in town. World-class people, royalty, celebrities used to come here. Howard Hughes actually owned the hotel, and of course all his friends, and then Hugh Hefner bought it. And then several different private owners have taken it over and haven't put the money back into it, which we'll see a little bit later.
Look how, oh it is, look at that water, isn't that something? I like the water here better than over where we are.
If you put my lens,
So,
this is the lobby of the Xanadu. You can see that the original architecture, the original furnishings were quite elegant and luxurious. Apparently they just let it go all to heck though. It doesn't seem like anybody's even staying here. This used to be the bar area where this place was just packed on Sunday mornings when they had the brunch. And then beyond the bar is where they had the Sunday brunch. And it was very elegant. Wow. Yeah, this is where they had it.
I like it.
But if you look at it in relation to what things were like in the 60s and 70s, you can see this place was pretty elegant.
Yes. The Xanadu. Very nice area. We're at the International Bazaar. Just kind of looking around right now at all the different things that there are. A lot of shops here from all over the world. You can still tell you're in a third world country though. It's not hard to tell that. How did you like the colors here? This is the back part of our hotel, the Reef Village. It's a really neat pool here. I really am here in the Bahamas. It's kind of hard to believe, but I really am. And Carol brought us here, and it's been quite an experience. I wish I could have used the video camera on all the other things that we've been able to do here. We left the tourist area and went to look at some of the backcountry, did some kayaking, hiking, see what the island's really like, see some of the local people, and unfortunately we couldn't take the camera there because we were concerned that the camera might get wet, but it was nice. So was this.
All right. Well, hopefully you found that interesting. Had a little break. Maybe some of you have been there. Maybe some of you haven't. But it kind of gives you a chance to see a little bit about it. So I hope you enjoyed that. Okay. Hazeman. Yeah, they want Trump gone now. Yeah, I know. Well, he's not helping the situation much either. It's like I said, he kind of lost the initiative. He never really seized it. He could have had it. What I mean, initiative is a principle of war, and you need to grab a hold of it and keep it. Now, everybody keeps thinking all these things are happening underneath and all of that, but the Trump base is getting very disappointed and very upset. Even Mike Cernovich is saying, the Republicans are going to take a beating in 2020. And Trump might not even be elected, is what Cernovich is saying now, because people are so disgusted with what's happened. I mean, there are some great things going on, but even the economy is questionable. And I brought that up in one of my videos saying, is he being lied to, Trump, by his people? Because I look around, Utah, Wyoming not so much, of course, but Utah is one of the booming places. Las Vegas is also. And yet a lot of businesses have been closing still. Whole strip malls. Now, I know there's been a problem with malls in general, I realize that, but there are other things happening too. So I'm not sure, what we can expect in 2020. It's not looking good right now. Trump is the comeback boy, maybe, but a lot of things that he said he hasn't cashed a check on. So especially going after the criminals, you can't fix this government with allowing criminals to stay in power. You can't do it. You just can't. No matter what else you do. Rob Carpenter, McCraven. Yeah, Admiral McCraven. He's a retired admiral. He's working against Trump. And some of the things that he said actually are in violation of the UCMJ, and he should be charged for that. But they won't do that, of course. I mean, hell. The only people they go after are ranchers and farmers and, marijuana users. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. I thought this was all going to change, right? Like I said, maybe the new AG will do something, but probably a little too late. We'll see. I don't know. Okay, Edelson James, hi there. Hello. Yeah, I agree, Circle of Wagons. I think the California fires are a declaration, or they are an act of war, not a declaration of war, but they are an act of war. And I think it's by the deep state and possibly by the Chinese, certainly by UN-controlled things. And how do you prove all that? Well, Trump's in a position to prove it. Is he going to? I don't know. See, that's the problem. Trump's willing to confront an enemy, and it's really what it is. It is an invasion on our southern border. But he's not willing to go the next step and say who are the enemies in the government. I mean, he'll talk about the fake news media, and he'll talk about people like Brennan and stuff like that, but he's not acting on it. Now, my Republican insider says he can't because they'll say that he's mentally unstable. There are too many people in his cabinet and elsewhere that will go after him and say he's mentally unstable. Use the old Stalin, you're insane thing, and throw you in an insane asylum. In his case, throw him out of office. Well, at some point, you can't keep using that as an excuse, in my estimation, which is another reason why I'm frustrated to the point where I don't want to keep talking about these things without any results. So I'm going to cut way back. If you see me, great, until I see some arrests, until I see these documents declassified, rhetoric is not being met with action on the ground. I'm sorry, it just isn't. What is this? Is this? I'll just leave it there. I'm not going to leave, Frankie. I'm just not going to have a scheduled program every Tuesday and Thursday. Because for one thing, like I said, I think there are other people out there you need to get information from. Lee Stranahan, for instance, folks like that that have shows. Jack Posobiec, even Mike Cernovich. Despite the fact that Alex Jones has disappointed me immensely in so many things, he's still a good place to at least get information and then to check it. So I don't want to walk on those people that have those resources and those audiences. I'm not going to shut up. Don't think that I'm going to shut up. But especially this time of year. I mean, we're entering the holiday period. From Thanksgiving to New Year's, and if something significant occurs, I might come on and say something. But I've already told you, keep your situational awareness up. Keep your eyes on the horizon, ears to the ground. Prep, pray, and stay out of the way. You can't control what's happening. You can only trust your own integrity and discernment. And hopefully those are gifts to you from God. Okay? You are here and you're not leaving, Edelson James. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm just not going to be scheduled so much. Tinfoil hat. Yeah, you're always on the wrong side, aren't you? Roy's shirt looks like it's straight off a 1970 TV wardrobe set. Hey, actually, tinfoil hat, I'm going to tell you something, okay? I bought this shirt. I had a military assignment. I was the provost marshal security officer for the Chicago District Corps of Engineers in the 90s. And I don't remember what year it was I bought this, but I went into a men's store And I bought it in 1994, 5, somewhere in there, 93, 94, 95, somewhere in there. So you're not too far off. It's actually a 90s shirt, okay, not 70s. High-end men's shop. I think this, at the time, even in that period of time, I think this was like an $80 shirt, something like that. So I've had this for, 20 some odd years, going on 25 years, something like that. Almost 30, I guess. So yeah, I don't. It's not really Hawaiian, actually. But anyway, I'm not a fashion guy. I don't go out and buy the new fashions that come out and try to stay up. Because invariably, 2 or 3 cycles down, they come back. Look at Converse All-Stars, Chucks. They used to call them Chucks in the 60s and 70s. And then they kind of went away, and now they've made a big comeback. So fashion's ridiculous. I don't pay much attention to it. Bob Rayburn, are we ever going to arrest these traitors? That's my point. Until I see that, until I see these documents declassified, I'm just not sure what's going on. Oh, of course, Alfonso, all the militias are infiltrated. Absolutely. Anything to do with trying to support the Constitutional Republic of the United States has been infiltrated and demeaned and accused falsely, many of them, by the DOJ, FBI, etc. Absolutely. I mean, I did that whole series on FBI corruption. I see what they do. The whole thing about how they've corrupted the judicial system and the justice system and law enforcement has been exposed to everybody. That's one thing Trump's done here. He's exposed the FBI as it should be dismantled completely. It should be dismantled completely. So yes, I know, and they do. They come in there, good people trying to do the right thing, and then they'll create crimes that they can charge them with. We see that all the time. They'll create a crime. Isn't that what Mueller's known for? Show me the guy and I'll show you the crime, right? Yeah, I agree, Tinfoil. We need a Justice Department before anyone actually sees justice. And I realize that, but there are other alternatives in the meantime. And unfortunately, I don't see people, in the leadership positions willing to step out there. And even when they say they will, they back off. I mean, look, how long now has the declassification been going to happen? It's supposed to happen right after the election. Remember what I said? I'll bet you if it doesn't happen a couple days after the election, what's it going to be? Weeks, months? Does after the election mean in 2020? It's starting to look that way, right? Okay. Yeah. Tony Blassetti, yeah, John Brennan should shut his mouth. I agree, but that's not going to happen because he hasn't been arrested. He needs to be arrested. He's manifestly committed crimes. Manifestly committed crimes. Hazeman, yeah, you've looked up Bill Browder. Good thing. Yeah, his father was leader of the Communist Party USA. It's absolutely right. You must be watching Stranahan because Stranahan's unveiled all of that. Yeah, Don Sears, I think that's a good point. Roy, keep in mind Trump was elected by awake people who haven't learned anything new but have simply realized the fight still goes on. I realize that. And I think that's very good for you to point out. But like I said, I'm not here to tell you anything new, right? I can't tell you anything new because awake people, should already know what's going on. So I want you to be more diverse. I'm not telling you to go away. I'm just telling you I'm not going to do this on a scheduled basis anymore. Okay, that's all. Tuesdays and Thursdays is not going to happen on a scheduled basis. Now, that's kind of a bad thing in some ways, because then you'll have to depend on notifications, which YouTube might not give you, right? But, I'll upload them, of course, and they'll be available. And those who are able to partake in like what we're doing here now with a little chat, they'll do that. Trust no one, not even yourself. Brian Herrick. Well, there's a lot of truth to that, with the way the 5G is going and the nanotech and all that. Yeah, you could hear what you might think you're hearing God's voice talking to you. So, yeah, you got to keep your wits about you. Keep your wits about you. Even question yourself on some things. Don't lose your confidence, but check sources and means. And remember, God said to Isaiah, it's in Isaiah, I think it might be in Psalms, it might be in both. God says, let us reason together. It's not an emotional thing, it's reason. It's talking a situation through. So don't get caught up in the emotion of the moment. I am on the case, I will fix it. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but okay. Hazeman 76, Roy, do you think it's conceivable that a hot civil war could break out in the U.S.? I mean, even hotter than it is now. I do. A lot of other folks do. Steve Pachinik seems not to believe that. Of course, like I said, he's a psychiatrist and a spook, so you got to be real careful about where he goes with things and what his itinerary. I'm sorry, his interests are. His agenda. But I still listen to him. But yeah, I think it could very easily. I think we could turn into a Balkan situation very quickly. And look at what Swalwell said, and look at how that polarized people on either side. Wow, it's crazy. Okay, in tinfoil hat, I'm gonna quote you here again too. I'm not saying Trump is a fence sitter. He could be approaching cautiously. That's what my Republican insider says, and that's the benefit of the doubt I give him. But as I've said, I don't like the fact that the rhetoric's not meeting what's happening on the ground. So tinfoil hat says here, Trump is a fence rider. He's weak. Admitting there's a problem is the first step. Wake up, MAGA sycophants. In other words, you got to say, Trump, why aren't you doing something? And again, I realize, look what he's up against. They want to kill him. So I understand the caution, but again, if you allow the criminals to succeed, then you'll never fix this. It's like I said, we're worrying about stuff overseas, Syria, whatever, but we're not cleaning our own house first. So, it's kind of silly when you live in a dirty house to tell your neighbor that they need to clean up their yard and their house if you live in that kind of a situation. And that's what we're doing. So I don't know. But I don't kid myself. I know how strong the deep state shadow government is. I understand that. Yeah, C.J. Whaley, I've already talked about the no-hide laws, and I understand what you're talking about. No-hide laws are a fictitious rendition of rabbinic control. I guess I'll put it to you that way. The no-hide laws don't exist in the scriptures by any means. They're an interpolation made by rabbinic Judaism after the fall of the Second Temple. Actually, it was a long time after that. But at any rate, they would fall in the same category that Jesus would have said that the Pharisees are legalists. They set up stakes and won't allow people to go there, and they won't go themselves. It's going beyond what the Torah requires. Okay. I hear you, or no change. I'm not sure. Well, where's Roy going? I'm just not going to do scheduled Tuesdays and Thursdays anymore for sure, right? I'll just if something changes in the next little while, if we see arrests, and I've said this a half a dozen times now, if I see some arrests, if I see the declassification of the documents, I'll think that, well, okay, maybe we can open up and talk about some more things. But all we're doing is just repeating our scenarios at this point in slightly different circumstances. And I just can't, I don't want to take away from others who really do have decent information to put out there. Not that I couldn't, but, we'll talk about it when we see some of these things happening. Okay, I've already talked about that. Oh, all right, looks like it's repeating here. Edelson James, no. He says, Roy, do you think it will come down to the people taking the country back, meaning hand-to-hand combat, because I don't see Trump moving very fast or at all? No. We have waited to the point where we are at a disadvantage. There is no way the people could rise up in this country now and do that. I've heard people say, well, look how the Taliban has beat our military in Afghanistan. The entire purpose of Afghanistan is to keep it going, okay? It's not that they beat our military. It's that the war is perpetual. They want to stay there. They want the opium. Look what's happened in our country with the opioid epidemic. So, no, I don't think so. And I'm not sure the military would be on the right side in the end anyway. Yeah, I saw that, Bryce. He says, Ivanka Trump is providing Hillary with cover. One can't charge Hillary with using a private server without charging Ivanka as well. Can you believe that? Knowing that was an issue, Ivanka, is she brain dead? Was this a bait? I don't think so. I think it's stupidity. I've never really been impressed by Ivanka. She's a gorgeous lady, but I don't think she's all that intelligent. Okay, I just don't. I mean, she's a Democrat, right? Really? I mean, that kind of says it all. All her friends are Democrats. All right. Well, I the only arrests that I see happening are from Mueller right now. And we know about that. He's ready to. He probably won't do it this week now. Even Jack Posobiec says that. He's not going to indict any, or he has the indictments. He's probably not going to go forward with anything until after Thanksgiving. I don't see the new AG doing anything right away either. As much as I would like him to, I don't see that happening. There's more than enough evidence to go after all those people we've all talked about, from Clinton and Holder and Lynch and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, I think the only unsealings we're going to see are from Mueller. And it's not a good thing. And I've worried about that, Nancy Dunn. What if the indictments are for the Patriots? If there were, in fact, 60,000 plus indictments, I would think that that's really what they're about. But there aren't. The people that are touting that information are adding the information up incorrectly for their own purposes. And we've talked about that before. There aren't 60,000 unsealed, or there aren't 60,000 sealed indictments. Doesn't exist. Those who say there are really conflating the system and don't know what they're looking at. I looked at it early on thinking it was possible, but I didn't know anything about the PACER system or anything like that. I was a law enforcement officer, but I didn't really know how the PACER system worked or the actual sealings and unsealings worked specifically. But no, now we know there are not 60,000 sealed indictments. No, nowhere near that. Tammy Birdie, we should go bird hunting and accidentally shoot our friends in the face. You mean like Dick Cheney did? Tonio Face Pro, I expect you more than ever now, Potter. Why is that? I don't know why that would be, but thank you. I don't want to get too much into the religious aspect of it, Rose of Sharon Homestead. I'll just say it again, the Noahide laws are not scriptural. They're not scriptural at all. They're interpolations made by rabbinic Judists. And yeah, there is a problem with Zionism. It's not against Jews. Zionism is a political movement. It's not racial. But of course, those things all get conflated, right? Bruise me not. Yeah, I'm not giving up. Don't misunderstand me. We always have the upper. We just need to take it. I'm not giving up. Don't misunderstand what I'm doing here. I don't want to keep repeating myself. Okay, and that's what I've been doing. And I've said this before, probably a year ago or so. I was saying, golly, it's the same thing over and over again, just a different situation. How does that go? Same old shit, different day. All right. How long do we have to beat this? We already know what the problem is. So, I am active in doing stuff, but I don't know that talking about it all the time is a beneficial thing. But we'll keep in contact, okay? Just don't expect the Tuesday, Thursday things to be as they have been, at least during the holiday time between now and after the first of the year. Okay. Actually, we've been going for an hour, and I should probably get off. But let me just see if there's anything in here that that really jumps out at me here. Denise J. Yeah, Zionism is an ideology. It's a political movement. That's right. It's not anti-Semitism to be anti-Zionist, but they try to conflate the two. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Gary Thompson, the AG won't act until confirmation. I don't think this guy's going to get the AG position. That's kind of how it's looking. He's kind of an interim filler. I don't know who's going to get it. And then the question is confirming that person. I mean, we already know that if it's somebody that's pro-Trump, they don't want him because they think that he's not going to support Mueller. It's funny, but if their side wants to get, do you notice the hypocrisy? You can't be for Trump and be the AG, but you can be for Mueller and be an AG. The hypocrisy. The government is falling apart. The government is a total laughable scenario of misfits and criminals. The whole thing is. Dianetzar, good morning, Roy from Salt Lake. You're in Salt Lake? Oh, wow. I guess there are a few people around here that are willing to admit that. Right? All right. Oh, okay, Ben Chafin, I understand what you're saying. He says, Ivanka didn't use secret or secured info on her email. It's all spun bullshit. No, I understand what you're saying, but you got to understand when you work for the government, everything that you do is open to FOIA requests. And if you're using a personal email of any kind, that's outside the FOIA ability, right? So that's the issue. It's not that she's using that. I don't think she's dumb enough to and she wouldn't have had probably access to any real secret classified information anyway. That's not the point. The point is that she's using a non-government communication device so that what the end result is that if somebody wants to know what it is she's negotiating and puts in a FOIA, they can't get the information because it's private. So that's the issue. And she should have known better. She shouldn't have done that. She shouldn't have done it. I can't believe she did it. It's just unbelievable. Jackie Turner, you're in Tooele. Yeah, when I first heard about Tooele, they called it Thule. I thought they were sending me in the military, and I thought they were sending me to North Korea, or to Korea. And then I said, so why are you sending me to Korea? And they said, oh, we're not sending you to Korea. We're sending you to Utah. And I said, oh, you mean Tooele? This is my career manager in the Army. I said, you're going to send me to Tooele? He goes, yeah. I said, no, send me to Korea. I went to Tooele. I mean, nothing wrong with Tooele. I just didn't really want to be around in Utah that much. That's all. Okay, it looks like we've gone through this. No real earth-shattering information. I think it looks like everybody's pretty much up on what's happening and the difficulties that Trump is facing and maybe not willing to address. Not able to address, I don't know. Like I said, my Republican insider always goes and defends Trump, and I understand that. But I'm very concerned about the fact that these criminals are being given a pass all over the place. It's just too much to believe. That's interesting. CW3. John Hinckley was to President Reagan as the California fires are to President Trump. A warning from those in power. Yeah. Pulling the strings. Okay. So I want to thank everybody for coming. We've been going for an hour and 10 minutes, and that's pretty good. I appreciate your contributions on there. And I'm not saying we won't do this again. I'm just saying that, especially now during this holiday season, I'm going to, and I always say, I'm going to go do these things. I'm not going to be on here as much, and then something will happen, and I just have to speak my mind. But that's kind of how I'm viewing it right now. I think I just need to pull back a little bit and we'll see where things go. Remember, when Trump first came into office, I said there were two things that would tell me if he was for real or not. One is if the Bundys got released. That did happen. Kind of different circumstances, but it did happen. And along with that, he pardoned the Hammonds up there in Oregon. Absolutely important thing to do. And he did that subsequent to his December executive order of last year about resources. The second thing that I held on is that Hillary must be collared. And that has not happened. And everything is occurring to try to keep it from happening. And you can throw in all the other criminals with that request as well. By the same token, if he could fix the government and just ignore Hillary, but we could fix the government, I would go for that. Somebody accused me of just wanting to let Hillary off the hook, and then I was deep state because I was willing to let Hillary off the hook. And, people just misunderstand you because they want to. What I was saying is that if Trump could fix the country without collaring Hillary, I'd be willing to go there. Of course, I don't think it can happen, but that would be a trade-off I'd be willing to do. Because if we don't fix it, things are going to get horrible, horrible, horrible. And it's just around the corner. Okay. Thank you all for coming. I do wish you a happy Thanksgiving, a Merry Christmas, and I'll probably come on and do that again, and Happy New Year and all of that. Happy holidays, etc., etc. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your ears to the ground, your situational awareness on high. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. God bless you. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. God bless the Second American Revolution. It's floundering right now in a lot of ways. Okay. And God bless Donald Trump and all of his righteous endeavors. Not any other kind of crap. Okay? And may the Spirit of the Lord send him the spirit of discernment that will descend upon him as the dews from heaven, that he will know the difference between the right and the wrong and have the courage to do the right thing. Again, thanks all for coming. No, this isn't the end. Don't think I'm giving up. I'm just backing off a little bit, okay? Go listen to those other people, like I've said, if you want. I think their input, their take on things is important to know. But again, as I've often said, be very careful about military guys 06 and above, especially people, even though I'm telling you to go listen to Manus, be very careful of people that will put forth trust in people like General Vallely, because I definitely don't have that. Okay, let me just see if this is anything going on here I need to let you know about. Let's see. Oh, interesting. I guess they're having flooding in Saudi Arabia in the desert. I don't know what that's about. Okay, thanks everybody for coming. Till next time.